millions of rabbits released into a deadly desert. But the real reason was never supposed to be revealed. What if I told you this wasn't just an experiment, but a test that went completely out of control? In 1990, something unexplainable happened in the Chinese desert. Millions of rabbits were suddenly released into the wild, and no one knew why. This wasn't random. It was planned, controlled, and hidden from the world. A secret experiment had already begun. Welcome to Amazing Basit, where we uncover hidden truths and mysterious stories that were never meant to be revealed. The desert is one of the harshest places on Earth, where survival is nearly impossible for most living creatures. But scientists believed they could test nature itself by placing life where it was never meant to survive. The gates opened, and within seconds, thousands of rabbits rushed into the desert, turning silence into chaos. From a hidden control room, scientists watched in silence, unsure if they had just created a breakthrough or a disaster. As night fell, the desert turned freezing cold, pushing every living creature into a brutal fight for survival. But something unexpected happened. The rabbits began forming groups, adapting faster than anyone predicted. Within days, the desert started to change, and signs of a new, unstable ecosystem began to appear. By the second week, the desert was no longer silent. The sudden rabbit population began disrupting the natural balance. The rabbits multiplied rapidly, consuming limited vegetation, triggering a dangerous chain reaction in the ecosystem. Inside the control center, concern turned into panic. The experiment was evolving faster than expected. Soon, predators began appearing, drawn by the massive rabbit population spreading across the desert. A red alert was issued. The experiment was no longer under full control, and the situation was escalating. The rabbit population quickly grew out of control, far beyond what the desert could sustain, turning survival into a crisis. Green patches began to disappear as rabbits consumed nearly every available resource, leaving the land barren once again. This triggered a massive chain reaction. Soil erosion increased, and the fragile ecosystem started collapsing rapidly. Authorities and scientists held urgent discussions, questioning whether the experiment should be stopped immediately. They finally realized a harsh truth. Nature cannot be controlled, and even small changes can lead to unstoppable consequences. The desert turned hostile once again. Resources vanished rapidly, and survival became nearly impossible for every living creature. As food disappeared, mass deaths began among the rabbits, marking the most critical phase of the experiment. Some reports suggested unusual behavioral changes, possibly caused by extreme stress and harsh environmental conditions. The monitoring systems started to fail. Data became unstable, and real-time tracking was no longer reliable. A final decision was considered: to terminate the experiment before the situation spread beyond control. A final containment plan was initiated, aiming to control the spreading population before irreversible damage was done. But time was already running out. Advanced barriers and tracking systems were deployed across the desert, designed to monitor movement and limit further expansion. But nature responded unpredictably. Powerful sandstorms began destroying equipment, erasing boundaries, and disrupting every control system in place. Without warning, multiple monitoring stations went offline. Communication was lost, and the desert vanished from digital observation systems. In that moment, scientists understood the truth. This was no longer an experiment, but a self-sustaining system beyond human control. One by one, the monitoring systems failed completely, turning the entire desert zone into a blind spot where nothing could be tracked anymore. A field team was sent into the desert to investigate directly, but what they discovered was far beyond every prediction made. The desert landscape had changed. Hidden burrows, endless pathways, a new pattern of life had taken over the entire region. There was an eerie silence across the desert. No clear signs of control, only quiet evidence of adaptation and survival. The final field report revealed something shocking. The rabbits were not just surviving, they were reshaping the ecosystem itself. Against all predictions, parts of the desert began to stabilize, forming a strange and unexpected balance within the chaos. Some scientists proposed a bold theory that extreme conditions had forced rapid adaptation beyond anything previously recorded. A deep divide emerged among experts. Some called it evolution, while others warned it was still uncontrolled chaos. Authorities stepped in, sealing data and restricting access, turning the entire experiment into a classified subject. The final observations revealed something remarkable. Nature was slowly correcting itself without any human control. Months later, the long-term impact became visible. The desert had changed in ways no one had ever expected before. Gradually, the rabbit population began to decline as the ecosystem adjusted itself and restored a fragile balance. Authorities moved to officially close the project, sealing all findings under strict classification and restricted access. Scientists realized a powerful lesson. Nature cannot be engineered like a machine. It always responds in unpredictable ways. But one question still remained. Was this truly an experiment, or something far more strategic and hidden? Years later, classified documents began to surface, revealing fragments of what might have been a much larger hidden program. Some experts believe the experiment was never just science, but a large-scale environmental strategy test conducted in secrecy. The final analysis suggests one truth. Nature always finds balance, but never in a way humans can fully predict or control. This experiment became a reminder that even the smallest action in nature can create consequences lasting for decades. And so, the desert remained changed forever. If you want more hidden stories like this, subscribe to Amazing Basit for more cinematic truths.